Going live, people. All right.
We have 11 people waiting.
We should be live.
But nobody is.
According to me, I'm live. There's like a 30-second delay. Well, we'll give it till 3 o'clock. We got a minute and a half, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, people. All right. Sounds good, sounds good. A lot to cover today. Well, hey, should I turn this one off? See if this is better. Uh-oh. I think it is. I think the other one blows it out too much. Yeah. Can you tell? Or not yet? I think it's better though, don't you?
Because I'm sitting in the same room, so
Yeah.
I think it looks good without it.
That's without it?
Wait.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, who we got in the chat? Anybody here?
Zach is here.
Zach Higgins?
Yep.
I know that guy.
David Van Bibber. Luis Courier.
David, Luis. If you're in the chat and you can chat, like, let us know where you're from. It's always cool to see where everybody's from.
David's the one who got the new Herald.
David. Oh, from the raffle? How are you liking your Herald, David? That's a pretty cool prize. Actually, 2 people from 2 different groups got Heralds this year. Chris Austin's group had a prize and they gave away a Herald. That was pretty cool. Awesome. Wonder why I can't see the chat. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, there it is. Oh, now I can see it. Okay. Hey, Zach from Nevada. Good to see you. Jack from Florida. Very cool. All right. Al from Detroit. Cool. All right. Well, hey, today is going to be kind of an easy project, but really cool, I think. I want to show you a couple things. But before I begin, we are going to get back to regular live streams, unless I'm out of town. That's the only thing usually. So Wednesdays, please plan for these. We're going to do some cool stuff in the near future. I know we're jumping back into some of the kitless stuff, the custom pen stuff. We're going to do like some other custom pens. We're going to do some clips. We're going to do whatever we had on the list before the holidays took over. Clips and mandrels, yeah. So we'll be back on that maybe as soon as next week, maybe the week after. I'm not sure yet. I gotta prepare for that. So just so you guys know, like I have to kind of clear my table and lay out all the tooling because it's all in a drawer. So if I don't have it all out and neat, it's hard to do out of a drawer. But we've been doing some bowl classes and some other stuff for the holidays that was really fun. So I put it all away so it wasn't in the way or getting all dirty. But along with kitless and custom pens, we got other cool stuff. We are going to do some bowl live streams. So if anybody's interested in that, that'll be coming up, as well as other things. And if you're in the Phoenix area, which I don't see any yet, we do classes here. So if it's something you want to take a class on. Hey, Richard Elston. I think his thing is old man. I don't see it, but maybe. Oh, Richard Elston. Maybe that's his email. I don't remember. Hey, Richard. But today I want to do something kind of simple, but I want to show you some new blanks that we've had for just a few weeks, as well as a new kit that I'm pretty stoked about because I used to make this kit back before I even had Turner's Warehouse, and then I couldn't get it for a while. But now we've got 3 finishes of it, and it's really cool. So we're going to show you that. But let's talk real quick about the blanks. So the blank I'm going to do is this one here. It's called Pastel 2. And these are Hobble Creek Craftsman. We just got a number of his blanks in. This is Mark up in Utah. Oh, hey, Mark. I wonder if he knew we were chatting about him. Ears burning, huh? But if you didn't see it, we visited Mark in his shop in, October? And we did a little casting video and a little shop tour. So if you didn't see those, go back on this channel and watch them because you'll pick up some tips out of there. Whether it was meant to be a tip or not, you'll always learn something, and it's cool to see other people's shops so you can kind of like, oh, I want to lay out my stuff like that, or that's a good tweak or whatever. So check those out. Mark makes some killer stuff. I only have a few of his colors. I mean, he's got tons of great colors. So check him out on our website. If you want other colors, check out his website. It's pretty cool. Really good technique and really good finish. So way to go, Mark. I'm going to be doing some kitless out of some of these probably in the very near future. So, but today we're going to do this Pastel 2. And this thing is really killer. Try to get it up here. Mark, you're pretty darn good with these swirls. Look at the end of that thing. So pretty cool.
I'm super excited to see how it looks all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, so I'm going to make this pen and then I'll take pictures of it or Carrie will take pictures for the website, but I'm probably going to keep this one, and I think what I'm going to do with this cutoff, because this is the other end, I'm going to make one of those hobby knife kits that I just put out the video for, and that way I can have a matching pen and hobby knife for my pocket. So I think that'd be pretty cool. But let me show you something real quick. So I have the blanks already drilled and tubed because, you know, doing a live stream, it would be real boring to sit and watch glue dry. At least I think it would. So let me show you this though. This is how I drill the blanks. And if you are having any trouble drilling blanks and they're not round, consider a chuck with pen jaws. And so you can see that this pen jaw, it's 2 jaws versus 4 of a normal 4-jaw chuck, but it will hold round or square blanks just perfectly. And I do get a lot of questions of, can you put a round blank in pen jaws? And you absolutely can. You can see how nice it grips them. And these kind of have like a little bit of length to them, and they really push down nicely on the blank. I've never had a blank slip in these. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I never have. So it's really cool that you can drill blanks on the lathe because they're going to be a lot more centered. I have a fairly nice drill press and a pretty good setup, and I still have crooked blanks all the time. So by doing it on the lathe, it allows you a little more precision as far as the center. So if your blank is smaller in size and you don't have any room for error of like having it being a little skew, drill it on the lathe, it'll be a lot better. Now, I use a center drill typically, maybe not in wood, but in the resin like I did earlier. I always use a center drill, and what that does is it gives me a perfect center. Whoa, that's something you don't want to do. Luckily that fell out or it would have made a real mess. Always on camera when you make dumb mistakes. All right, so the center drill, you just are pressing into it, and it does give you a perfect little center hole. So now when I go to drill, I'm glad nobody was watching when that happened. Now when I go to drill, I have a perfect starting point. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily use this on wood unless the wood was really hard, but on resin, it's really good because it keeps your resin really lined up. So consider, if you're going to do this, consider a center drill. They're not very expensive, and if you're ever going to do custom pen making, you'll use them a lot. Let me whip through this real quick. This is kind of a long blank, but that's all right. Woo, got it too hot. So don't get it too hot. Amy, are you laughing?
Like, I saw nothing.
Good. I hope not. I mean, it would have just stopped the lathe because this would have hit my tool rest and just bound up. But if you look, we'll do it overhead. This is perfectly centered, which, like I said, on my drill setup, I have a pretty good drill and a pretty good vise and all that, and it's square, but I can never get it centered. So drilling on the lathe is probably about the best thing you can do for quality of your blank being drilled center. So I drilled this earlier, so I just wanted to show you that real quick because obviously to drill and glue and wait for the glue and then square, it's a little harder on the live stream. So I'm going to put in my mandrel. I only have mandrel bushings for these kits, so I'm going to use a mandrel. This is the deluxe mandrel set that we it has the mandrel that's got a collet adjustment, and then the mandrel saver. See if we can see that. That thing is swiping. Do you see that swiping? It's like fading to the next one. Oh, I see what it is. Here. What do you prefer, the hard cut or the swipe? See the like fade to the next screen? Watch. I don't know if that's distracting or not. It was on a different setting. We're going to go back to that. Yeah.
What speed are you drilling at?
Oh, good question. What speed am I drilling at? I was drilling at 700. So typically, whether it be the lathe or the drill press, I try to keep it like 7 to 900. 900 on the high end, obviously. But 700 to me is like the sweet spot. You could see that was wood, that was olive. And because I went the whole length without pulling out, it started to burn. So I would have wanted to peck drill it a couple times so it didn't burn. Good question, good question. Now these are these are mandrel bushings, so we're going to use them on the mandrel. Cool thing about this kit, it's called the Wingman. The bushings on the top are the same size and the bushings on the bottom are the same size, so you really can't screw it up. And they're two different sizes, so you really can't screw up the top and the bottom. It's not like a cigar that has the same size tube and 4 different bushings, so that makes it a little challenging. 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, totally different sizes. So we can't screw that up. But why this is a cool kit and why it's called the Wingman is it's like a junior gentleman's kit, like a junior 2 or a junior George style, but not that clip. It's more the junior gent clip. But it's a ballpoint, so it's a twist ballpoint, but it looks like a junior gent 2, so it kind of goes with that series. It's a really cool kit, so when we assemble it, you'll see. And if you hang till the end, we'll give you a little promotion for it, so we'll see how that goes. But let's turn this thing. We're going to turn it, polish it, and assemble it. We're going to see how Mark's blank holds up. So Mark, if you're still in the chat, we're going to see what you're made of here. And then we're going to polish it, obviously. Now, I'm only going to turn one blank at a time. So I have plenty of room. I could load this up and put two parts on here, and it would probably be fine. But I don't like to do that. I only like to turn one piece at a time. And the reason being, I want my mandrel to be as short as possible. So by doing 1 versus 2, I have this shorter and I have less risk of anything getting bent or tweaked, and that's a good thing. So I'm always going to do 1 at a time whenever I can. Now I've got my tailstock way extended, so I'm going to back that up, because there again, any kind of extension or length gives you the chance of bending or warping or something. So, but hey, I didn't say Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good holiday. It was sure busy and it went fast for us here. So we're all quite tired still, but we're hanging in there tough. But hopefully everybody got to make some stuff and have a little fun over the holidays. All right.
Online, I've been asking people about what their goals are for the new year for making, and people have some like really cool stuff they want to work on this year.
Oh, that's a good idea. Amy said she's been talking to people online about goals for the new year and what to make. That's really cool because there's a lot of great ideas. Let me see what...
Zach says, quit tweaking your mandrel.
He would. All right. So what I'm doing is I think... Let me see what my lathe is set at. This lathe has 3 belt positions. Oh yeah, I'm in the lowest. So I've been turning bowls the last week. So this is 900 is the max speed at this belt. So I'm going to quickly lower this. So to kind of go along with what Amy was saying, what's everybody got planned for this year? Like, what do you want to get better at? You know, like for example, I've been working on a, here I'll show it since it's a live stream. I've been going down the rabbit hole of Russian and Japanese wood turners. And I saw this lathe knife on many, many videos. So if you put on YouTube lathe knife, you'll see something that looks like this. Now I made this, took blade steel, forged it out, and then put it between mild steel and forged that together. And so I just sharpened it today. So I haven't tried it and I'm very nervous. But this is kind of what I'm like. I want to practice with this and get good at something different with a tool. But what does anybody else got? Anything cool they want to get better at? Like make custom pens or make something else. I don't know. But I'm going to just change this belt real quick. It's pretty simple with this machine. But Amy said people are asking if we're going to be at SWAT. I think we're planning on it, right? I mean, it's definitely on the table. As you guys know, I went to Alaska last year, so I mean, if Alaska came up again, who knows? No, I'm just kidding. I think we are going to try to be at SWAT, so I can't tell you for sure, but we're going to do our best. And we're debating on some other stuff. We want to have some little like demo days here and stuff too, but we definitely want to get out and meet around. We probably want to do like we did with Mark, like that video I was talking about, go meet up with people in their shops and like spend an afternoon making some stuff and do a video if you're cool with it. So if anybody has a cool place that they live that we should come visit, let us know, because we're always looking excuse to go travel somewhere. So I just switched my belt and now I should turn 4,000. That's more like it. So this Regent turns 4,020 at the top. So I'll dial it back to 3,500. All right. So I'm gonna grab a carbide for this because this won't take a lot of turning. This blank is this pen kit is fairly straight. The two bushings are the same size, like I said. So you know the outsides always look different than the inside. So I'm really curious to see what this looks like inside. It's like unwrapping a present. And I should have switched my cutter, but I haven't been using my EasyWood tools this last couple weeks, so I forgot. Anybody say what they're going to work on this next year?
Zach wants to make some knives.
Oh, Zach wants to make knives? Cool.
I want to make some
Oh, I remember one other goal I want to do. I want to drag Zach to a pen show and share a table at a pen show. I thought that'd be super fun if we both just made a bunch of pens and went to a pen show. All right, Mark. We like it. Look at the cool patterns in here. So they're actually better than that was on the outside, if that's believable. Can you see that okay, or should I zoom in more? Bear with me here. I'm going to zoom in more. All right. See if I can get it back here a little. Oh. Whoops. That's a good looking blank, man. Gotta stop my camera from wiggling. Can you see that okay? Look at those colors, the lines. Very nice. Let's keep her going. All right. So I am using a negative rake here, but these are aluminum blanks that Mark makes, so I certainly wouldn't need to. But since it was on my tool, that's what I got. And I'm just running to the end. You know, somebody was asking me the other day, like, is it okay to hit the bushings? And obviously you don't want to like sit on the bushings, but you'll hear at the end of each pass, that little hum. That's me rubbing on the bushing. And I do that because I like to make sure my transition is really smooth. So I'll rub the bushing just to know that I'm right there and level. Now, you probably could avoid that if you tried, but it doesn't matter. All right, let's see this thing. Oh yeah, that's killer. When I polish this, it's gonna look so cool. Well, that's not as good as this view.
We've got some people wanting to get pressure pots and start making more blanks this year. People maybe doing their first shows this year and just like doing more.
Awesome.
Show stuff.
Yeah, so those are all good goals. Like if you want to cast resin, there's a guy named Zach that has Resin Works on YouTube here. He does a lot of casting. He's a good one. He's a good one to watch anyway because he's entertaining too.
Rick Timmerman's here. He says knives and wood and blacksmithing mixture.
Hey Rick, how's it going? Yeah, you guys have good goals. Like doing more shows is cool because you can keep funding your hobby and hopefully your side business a little bit. But let me show you these together. Rick, that's, I was turning that at 3,500. You could easily go faster, but see that? The green is down in there. It's really cool. This is going to look killer polished, so you're going to want to see that. That's cool, Rick. I've been learning blacksmithing as well, and I want to kind of incorporate some blacksmithing into pens as well, like some custom stuff. Like hammering out some clips or some center bands or something. So, very cool stuff. You guys should definitely share with us when you do this cool stuff. So let me show you something here since everybody's watching, or hopefully you guys are watching. That's at 3,500. Let me slow down to like 1,500. And I don't know that anyone in the room is a beginner, but a lot of times beginners want to turn slower, and just watch what happens. I mean, it'll turn, right? It's going fine. But it's a lot more inconsistent. When you have that higher speed, obviously you're turning so many more RPMs that it's just going to cut smoother. I almost feel like I have to push harder when I'm going slow like this. So that's 1,500. And then let's double it to 3,000. And it's just like butter. So same tool, double the speed. So, I'm making twice the cuts because I'm going fast, but it sure just flows off of there at the higher speed. So when you're turning pens, especially with carbide or regular tools, it doesn't matter, don't be afraid to speed it up. Now, you don't want to put a bowl on here and turn it to 3,000. That's not advisable. But for pens and small stuff like this, fast is good, and fast just flows off of here. So don't hesitate to turn up the lathe. Everybody find that to be kind of true? Turn at a higher speed? Yeah. I remember like when I first started, everyone would be like, what tips do you have? And they'd be like, sharp tools and fast speed. And I never heard anyone advise dull tools. So, must be true, right? Now, that being said, if you're using traditional tools and not carbide, you want to sharpen a lot. Oh, crap, look at this. Look at this thing. I don't know if you can see it yet, but you're going to see here when I polish this, it's going to look killer. Oh, man, that's awesome. Good stuff. So, but what I was saying, like, no, if you have traditional tools, you don't have to have carbide to turn pens by any means. Use what you got, but just make sure you keep them really sharp and sharpen often, even though you're pen turning, and you might not think you're turning a lot of material, but you're still turning a lot because of that high RPM. So you want to keep it really sharp.
Was the insert tube colored before you?
No, I did not paint the tube. This blank, and Mark could tell me if I'm wrong, looked like it was all opaque. Now, generally, I do err on the side of painting versus not painting. So maybe I should have, but I didn't. It looks good to me so far. I don't see any brass showing through, so we'll see. Now, you can either mount your blanks on a live center, dead center, or you can use finishing bushings. I've got these handy, so we're going to use a live center, dead center. And the trick is you just don't want to over tighten these. So when you're putting these on, you want to be real careful. I like to kind of stop a little early, and then I'm just barely going to snug it, like just tap it even. And I can always tighten it up a little more, but if you over tighten a live center, dead center, you're going to bend those ends out, and it's not going to look good. And it could crack your blank. So there's a whole bunch of problems if you do it that way. So just be real careful. You want to make sure it's snug, but not tight. Now, we're going to use only 2 things on this. I'm going to use some paper here. I think it's 600. And I'm going to do some wet sand at 600 just for a second. Because I used carbide, I don't have a lot of tool marks or lines on here. So I'm not really needing to sand out a bunch, but I do want to have it smooth. And then I'm going to use Zona paper. So if you're not familiar with Zona paper, it's just like micro mesh with a couple of differences. It's paper versus little pads, and it's 6 sheets versus 9. So I like it because it's less steps, but also I feel like I get a better shine and polish. If you like micro mesh, use micro mesh. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're happy with and you get a good polish. Now I usually cut these into like little 1-inch squares. That'll work. And I'll turn, I don't know, 4 or 5 pens out of this and then switch it. So you get a lot out of it because an 8.5 by 11 sheet, which is what it comes in the 6-pack, is like $14. And you get a lot of these little pads out of it. So set that aside. All right.
Says that the ratio of pigments that you use don't really require back painting, but it never hurts.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so Mark said his pouring doesn't generally require back painting, but it never hurts, which is true. Let's put some more light on this and see.
And then Kev said, I don't have carbide tools. Does it stay sharper longer on both acrylic and wood?
Yeah, so carbide, you don't typically need to sharpen carbide as often, especially pen turning. You can turn a lot of pens on one carbide tool edge, and then you rotate it. So like a square has 4 sides. So let's say you get 30, 40 pens out of each side. That's like 120 to 160 pens or parts. Now flat carbide you can sharpen. And if you want to see that, I do have a video. Maybe Amy will link it. But negative rate carbide, like I was talking about earlier, you can't really sharpen because they have a beveled edge and it's just difficult. But flat carbide, I sharpen usually 4 or 5 times, and then they start to get a little weird because you're taking the material off, and then I'll replace them. But I mean, you're talking a couple years worth of use out of them if you turn a lot. If you don't turn a lot, it's going to be a lot more. Now I'm going to turn this down, kind of like my drilling. I want to be like around 700, 800. And I should be able to get there, no problem. That's good. All right. Ooh, my water's all warm. It's actually chilly here in Arizona. It was 39 when I got in the truck this morning. So full-blown winter, but it's already over. I think it's like 70 now. So I'm just going to keep this wet. I always wet sand everything because for 2 reasons. One, dust. There's no dust this way. It goes into the water. And 2, I think everything looks better wet sanded. So if you don't believe me, that's all right. But do what you want. It looks good wet sanded, I can guarantee you that. Now, I'm getting water between my live center, dead center, and my tube, so I may get occasionally slippage, but I'm not getting much slippage, so I'm not going to tighten it. If I need to tighten it, I will, but I don't think I need to. And that camera's better. Let's stop this and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that is killer. Does that need to be brighter, or can you see that okay? Okay. All right, so just that little bit of sanding, it's already perfect. Like it was pretty flat anyway. I just wanted to take out any little kind of tool marks or anything and get it really flat. Now I'm going to use the Zona. I'm going to turn it at the same speed, and I'm going to use water. I do everything wet sanded. I typically wet sand my stabilized wood and sometimes my regular wood. But like I said, do what works for you. My live center looks like it's wobbling. I don't know if you can see that on the video. It looks like it's wobbling right there. Maybe it's not set in there. Maybe my taper was dirty because it feels like it's clicking. Yeah, I'll fix that when we're done here. So if you get debris down in your taper, you can get a little tapping like that because it'll let the taper's not sitting flat on both sides, like fit into it. It's like wobbling in there, and that feels like what's happening. But it's not going to hurt the machine or my blank, so I'm not super worried about it. So just keep dipping the water, keep applying. I know that's really zoomed in. Sand, huh? Like too much? Here, let me zoom out a little, and then that way it might focus a little better. See if that's a little better. Yeah, let's take a look at this blank. This thing's killer. I dig it. Now, I did the green, so I'm just going to put it behind because I'm going to use it for my other one, and I'm going to go to the black. Anybody have any questions, comments? This is a good time while we sand. I'm going to make this quick, though, so don't get too bored and leave. You're going to want to see this assembled. It's a pretty cool pen. And Amy, you have a George or something with you? Okay, we'll compare it. I'll show you a Junior George next to the Wingman. And I don't know if I got to the whole point of it, but like the Wingman is the Wingman to the Junior Gent or the Junior George. So it's kind of a fun thing. All right, I just switched to blue. I like to do 35, 45 seconds at a minimum. The longer you do with the Zona paper, the better your polish will be. And I see it over and over in classes because typically every class, whether it be rings or pens or whatever, one person will sand for 10 seconds and be done, and one person will sand for 10 minutes on every pad, and the 10-minute one always looks 1,000 times better. So the more you do, the better. I switched to the pink. I got 2 more. I'm going a little fast here, but that's all right for you guys. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. This is a good time for it. Got to switch hands. Oh yeah, anybody got any good weather? Oh, cool. Rick is up in northern Arizona, so we're only a couple hours drive away from it. So if it snows, we can go play in the snow.
He said they're looking at 3 inches.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even know it was supposed to get any. That's not a bad little day.
Kat says, my goodness, if carbide lasts that long, I'm upgrading to it. With high speed still, I'd probably spend more time sharpening than turning. Any chance we can get a close up of both the square and rigged carbide pen?
Yep, I'll bring them up here in just 1 second. The square and what?
The square
And round?
the raked carbide?
Oh, negative rake maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you here 1 sec. I'm going to show the carbide tools here in 1 sec, but this is the final, the white. So let's see how this, we'll call this the big reveal here. Oh, it's looking good. And I'm just giving it like a final squeeze here. All right. And if you like to use a plastic polish, you can. I don't very often. But let's see. Oh, yeah. Look at those colors. So here it is unsanded, the other tube. What a difference. Very nice shimmers in there. That thing's cool looking. All right, let's put this.
They're getting snow in Utah too. Oh man, that's killer. It looks so good.
I bet they're getting snow in Utah. We loved Utah. We spent a week up there in October. We went to the Blade Show and it was great. All right, let's look at these tools. So I've only got a square negative rake, but you can kind of see maybe that the edge kind of goes down, whereas a flat cutter is very flat on the top and then cuts back. So this is a regular round versus a negative rake. So you don't really need the negative rake right away. It's great on resins and it's great on hard woods. But to be honest, anybody who uses Alumilite, you can use a regular easy wood tool on any Alumilite and not have any issues. It is better, like it is easier, I should say, with the negative rake, but not so much that you have to have it. I would just get the tool first and then get the negative rake later. But one difference that you will want, and I'll tell you, when you get a square carbide, and I'm going to keep sanding while I talk because sanding takes a long time. When you get a square carbide, they're like a perfect 90-degree square. But they make radius square, meaning it has just a slight curve instead of being flat. Get the radius. The radius is the way to go. I love the radius, especially for new people. I always want them to get the radius because it's easier to catch an edge on a square tool that's flat than it is the radius. The radius, you almost can't mess it up. I can turn a whole pen start to finish with a radius, and I'm not talking flat pen like with curves or whatever. So you have a lot more movement with the radius. So that's a good upgrade. Now, that being said, most negative rakes are radiused on the square. So might kill two birds with one stone there.
I would
So.
tell people to get negative rake if they know they have a really heavy hand.
Yeah, Amy said if you have a heavy hand, negative rake is good. That's totally true. So if you're a real hard pusher on your projects, don't have a light touch, maybe that's a good idea for sure. But if you're going to turn a lot of pens, you need to develop a little bit of finesse anyway. So might force you. But all right, we're going to whip through these colors here. Good stuff, everybody. What else we got? Anything?
You want to talk about shoveling snow? 'Cause I miss shoveling snow.
Yeah, I've got my winter wear on. I've got my shorts on and my t-shirt. In Arizona, we have, at least where we are, we have like one day of winter, and it's like just a little chilly that day, and that's it. So I think today might be winter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be over.
I think it's like 62 right now.
Yeah,
Somebody said
62.
60 in North Phoenix.
Makes sense. So, all right.
Mark says he always uses the radius negative rake cutters. It's just his preference.
Yep, and that's totally cool. If you like something, go with what you like. Don't do it just because I say or someone else says. Like, if you try something and it works for you, stick with it. Don't change just because you heard something else. But if you're new to it, I would definitely get a radius cutter, whether it be a negative rake or not. I would definitely get something with a radius if you're getting a square. They call this square the rougher, but I mean, somebody good with a square can blow through material no problem.
David said his daughter got him a easy wood micro detailer for Christmas.
Oh, cool. That's a great tool. Whoops. Yeah. All right, I'm on the blue, so we got one left after this. This is what we use for all of our rings too. So it works really good, and you get shine that's just incredible. And you can do, like I said, you can do a plastic polish. I do sometimes. Certain materials look better with a little polish on them. But I'm not going on this. It looks killer, and it's super shiny.
We've got to share one thing that took a while to figure out for this guy. Buy good shop towels to dry the blanket. The cheap blue disposable towels will scratch and such.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who was it that said that? DF in the chat said, good shop towels for drying your blank. Yeah, it's true. And I've said this a lot over the time. You don't want to spend all this time polishing a blank and making it look awesome and then take a paper towel and dry it off. Because, I mean, paper towel is pretty rough in terms of like, these go from like 1,000 grit to 24,000, something like that. So, I mean, a paper towel is probably like 1,000 grit. I don't know. I've never tested it or seen anything, but it feels like it. So yeah, you want to either use a soft cloth. I've always got like microfibers laying around. Now this one's dirty, but you can like pat it dry. If you rub it, even with this, you're risking some sort of scratching. But this is looking pretty cool. I think this looks better than the top. This is the lower section, and it's just got wicked feathers in it. Very nice, Mark. I don't know how you do it, but these are killer. So if you're wanting these, I'll have Amy put the link in the description here. But we've got a handful of Mark's blanks, and then you can always check out his website for more colors. And we'll be adding more as time goes on. And when I start doing kitless with these, you're going to really see them shine because, you know, we're taking this big, beautiful blank and making it this big. So once we do the kitless, these are going to look cool. I'm going to switch cameras over to the end here to do assembly. So what's really cool here, you can kind of see the layout now. So the tip, the center, and transmission. This is kind of like a cigar. And then it's got the upper cap. This would be like normally your cap coupler, and then the clip assembly, and it's all assembled. And it works the same way, like this transmission will push up into this tube, and that's what activates it. So really, we just have to decide how we want this to lay out, and I don't think there's a wrong choice here. I mean, it looks pretty awesome like that. I might flip that. And I can flip it because the bushings were the same size. So whatever looks good. That looks pretty cool. It's hard to tell if I've got it the same. Now I could have marked it. Zach has a great tip of marking the inside of your tubes so that you know where they line up, but I always forget to do that till it's too late. But that looks pretty cool there. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble this now. I'm gonna do the tip first. I'm gonna go ahead and take the transmission off. And you wanna do that because you don't wanna press against this transmission because you'll smash it and break it. Now you'll see these little tiny threads. You also don't wanna press against those. So I've got these different little, I just drilled out plastic for different size like pressing bushings. And I'm gonna use those. And I'm gonna do one side first. I'm using the Milescraft press. It's spring loaded here. So you can kind of load it and it'll hold for you and get everything lined up. And then you flip these little blocks to where you get this all matched up for pressure. And I'm just gonna press this in. And I'm gonna rotate, make sure I'm not getting crooked here. Okay. Now I'm gonna move those. I'm gonna do the tip. But I don't wanna also press, now I could press against the tip like that, it'd be fine. But if I didn't, I could always use my bushing here that I made. So I'm just rotating to make sure it looks good. And it does. Now I kind of press this one on, let's see. Okay, so there we go, we got the tip. And this is a microfiber cloth as well. I mean, it's cold enough out here that when I touch it, it like frosts the tip here. All right, so put that in, screw on the transmission, get that locked in, and then you can activate it here by pushing that. Now the little plastic cover on the ink is catching on the end, but I can see that it's working. I could pull that off, but I don't really want to. All right, now the top is actually even easier. So I'm gonna pick the end for my cap here, or center band, I guess. And I'm gonna do one at a time just to make it a little smoother. Nice and easy. Insert this. Now, if you had a preference of where the clip goes, just like a junior, you'd wanna kind of do it now. Once you press this in, it's gonna be in place permanently, so you won't be able to spin it. There we go. And press it on. Okay. So is that pretty visible? Like, can you see? Yeah. Now, if it was patterned or grained wood, you could line it up when you press it in. This one doesn't really have a preference, I don't think. Uh-oh, what have I done here? There we go. And then you twist, and there it is. So you can see it's like a junior. It's like a cap, but it's just permanently on here, and then you've got a fixed tip. Kind of wipe it off here. Let me see your. So this is a George. Now this is a very segmented George, but you can kind of see the clip is the different style because the George has a different clip, but the clip with the cap, it kind of looks the same, except the bottom's just the point because it's a ball point. Now it's Parker style. You can put any kind of Parker style you want in there. I like the easy flows. We have a bunch of Parker style refills at Turner's, but the Schmidt Easy Flow are probably my favorite. They write like a roller ball, which roller ball is my favorite, but you can't put a roller ball in a Parker. So Easy Flow is the next best thing. Yeah, so a lot of options with that. But killer looking blank. This is the Hobble Creek. This one is pastel too, but all the colors we picked that we have on our website, we actually went and saw at Mark's place and picked them out because they were just so cool. And it was hard to pick because he has got a lot of colors. But yeah, pretty simple kit and really cool. It's a very stout, it's kind of like a thicker pen, but very nice and stout with the good refill. Any comments or questions? Read it out. Let's hear it.
Bart says live center doesn't seem to be turning. Will that hog out the tube? And I was like, I don't understand the question.
Bart, what do you mean live center doesn't seem to be turning?
Oh, like distort the tube. Hog out, like distort the tube.
So on your live center, dead center, if you over crank it, it'll definitely distort the ends. It'll flare out the ends, which will make everything messed up. So that's why I just kept barely snugging it. And I mean, I'll tell you, I've done this for many years, so I'm probably a little more in tune than maybe somebody new. But you just want to barely snug it, barely snug it. If it spins, you can just barely snug it again, and you'll be fine. If you heavy hand this thing, you'll crack your blank, you'll bend your tube, everything. So if you're worried about that, use a mandrel with finishing bushings. Let me show you what finishing bushings are. Finishing bushings go on your regular pen mandrel, and they're just kind of like a generic taper, and you put them on just like this, and now you can sand, you can do CA finishes, you can do all kinds of stuff, and you'll see that they're like raised lip on the end because they're not exactly fitting up to the blank, which is good. That means you can sand off the end, you can CA it without it sticking to the bushing. And the main thing, here's the main reason you don't want to use your metal bushings for sanding. If you're doing anything that has grain or susceptible to fine dust, if you sand with steel bushings on here, you will get black dust into your wood or into your finish if you're doing a finish. And it looks terrible and it'll be really frustrating. So if you're gonna ever sand on the mandrel, use these finishing bushings, not the real bushings, because the real bushings will make it look bad. But you can also, this is just another option between centers. So I hope that answers if that was a question or comment a little bit. But this is the other option. So you can either do like the between centers or the mandrel on the bushings, finish bushings. Yep. Here, I'll do this camera with this pen. That's pretty killer. I love the pattern in it. It almost looks just like something natural, like a stone or something. Mark, you have great names too for your blanks. That's part of the fun. So, super cool. Yep. All right, did anybody stick around to the end here? All right, so since you stuck around, the Wingman Kit, through the weekend, because we'll put this video out, we'll repost the live, 10% off. So if you want to get any of these and try them, they're pretty affordable anyway, but 10% off doesn't hurt. Really cool kit. This is one like I said, I used it years ago and I loved it, but as far as Turner's Warehouse, we've never had it. So pretty cool. Let me know what you think, if you like it or don't like it. If you guys have anything, please reach out to us. Amy does our social media, so she'll always try to respond. I'm not real good at responding online, so probably best you just send a message. Anything product related or questions on orders, send to the email on Turner's Warehouse. Yeah, anything I missed?
No, just a happy new year, and
yeah,
have some cool stuff, some goings on coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Happy New Year to everyone. Amy was just saying we got some cool stuff in the pipe, so stick with us and let us know if there's anything you want to see, and we'll do our best. But I think we got some cool live streams coming and some potentially cool live stream guest appearances and maybe other demo appearances. So we'll keep you guys posted. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, go to turnerswarehouse.com, and at the bottom it says like subscribe to our newsletter. Hit that. And then of course on here, like and subscribe so you get the notification for live streams. I know this was kind of a simple one, but hopefully you like seeing the blank and the new kit, and then maybe you picked up something on the process. So we'll see. All right. Anything else? I'll give it a minute because we got a 30-second delay, so I hate to end and then have somebody pop a question in there.
David just gave a tip. He goes, I always use the finishing bushings for sanding and put a little wax on the nylon bushing to keep the CA from sticking.
That's a good tip. Yeah, David said he puts wax on the nylon bushing for finishing and sanding. It's a good idea. They're pretty good otherwise, like that CA doesn't really stick to them. It'll coat them, but then it pops right off. But mainly you just don't want anything flat to your blank. So like the way that they're angled, they're good because the end is open. So that's the main thing. And that's why I do a lot of between centers, is because my end is open and I don't have to worry about, you know, butting up to a bushing or sanding a bushing into my project because it looks real bad. Yeah, so good tip. You guys always have good tips while we're doing this, so it's always fun.
Seems like people enjoyed it. The pen looks awesome.
Yeah, this pen is killer, so I'll probably keep this one. So, thanks, Mark, for making cool blanks.
Might have to fight you for it.
Yeah, good luck. All right, everybody, if you have anything, let us know. Please make a comment, like, and subscribe. We'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Fade to black.